The LG V20 was LG's best phone for 2016. It stood out with a rich arsenal of power user features, which included a secondary display and a powerful dual camera, as well as high-quality sound recording and playback capabilities. The newer LG G6 is also a great phone with plenty to offer, but is it any better than the V20? Keep watching to find out. When it comes to design, the G6 is a few steps ahead. It is without a doubt the more elegant of the two phones thanks to its glass and metal construction. There is no annoying camera bump on the back either. Also, its size makes it feel much better in the hand and I can easily use it with a single thumb. And on top of that, the phone is IP68 water and dust resistant. The LG V20, on the other hand, is a phone with a tough, manly look. It is not as pretty as the G6 and single-handed use is quite a challenge. But it has one less glass surface that could potentially break. As you might have noticed, the display on the LG G6 looks a bit unusual. That's because it is of a different aspect ratio, 18:9, instead of the traditional 16:9. Both phones here have the same screen diagonal size of 5.7 inches. But the display on the G6 is taller and a bit more narrow. The benefit of this is that the G6 fits better in the hand despite the large screen size. However, most online videos are optimized for the 16:9 aspect ratio, which is why YouTube videos played on the V20 do not have these black bars on the side. Apps do run fine on the G6 despite the unusual screen proportions, although some games might require manual tweaking to be displayed properly. About that secondary display on the V20, some may see it as a gimmick, but it becomes useful once you configure it to your needs. For instance, you can launch apps, control music playback, or access favorite contacts from any screen. The LG G6 doesn't have a screen like that, but it has an always-on display feature, which shows some basic status info when the phone is on standby. As expected, the LG G6 and the V20 have a lot in common when it comes to software. Both run Android 7.0, meaning that they both support features like split-screen multitasking, muting notifications, and the Google Assistant. Both also include a lot of tweaks introduced by LG, such as the omission of the app drawer, although you can bring it back from the settings menu. Both will let you edit the on-screen buttons, which is a feature that I quite like. Both let you adjust the size and the layout of the on-screen keyboard, which is also really nice. And the list goes on. And speaking of similarities, the hardware inside both phones is also close to identical. With its Snapdragon 821, the LG G6 is only slightly more powerful than the V20 and its Snapdragon 820. Also, both phones pack the same 4GB of RAM. Real-world performance is at the same level, so I cannot pick a winner between the two. Both phones are quick, responsive, and well capable of running heavy games at fluid frame rates. One advantage for the LG V20 is that it comes with 64GB of storage as standard, while the LG G6 sold in the US has only 32GB of the stuff. Thankfully, both phones have microSD card slots for storage expansion. In the camera department is where things get a bit more interesting. Both phones have dual main cameras, one regular and one with a wide-angle lens. But the hardware behind these cameras is different. For example, the V20 has a 16-megapixel main camera, but an 8-megapixel wide-angle shooter. Meanwhile, the G6 uses two identical 13-megapixel camera sensors. In the camera app, one notable difference is that the G6 has this new camera roll feature. This lets you preview the 5 recently taken photos. But that aside, both phones offer tons of features, including different camera modes and manual settings for photos and video. When it comes to image quality, I would say that the V20 captures better detail, which is not a surprise really, given the higher megapixel count. But the G6 seems to be a bit more accurate when it comes to color fidelity, and its night photos also turn out quite nice. I would also say that the G6 is more reliable with its focusing. The G6 also has the better wide-angle camera, which lets it capture photos with more detail. One thing to keep in mind, however, is that with both phones, the wide-angle camera is less sensitive to light compared to the main one. So wide night photos might not look quite as great. I also took a bunch of selfies to test the front cameras. Image quality is comparable, but if you take a closer look, you might notice that the G6 captures slightly more details in its self-portraits. When it comes to videos, both phones capture up to 4K video. The quality is equally good as long as you shoot with the main camera. However, the G6 takes higher quality and less noisy videos when using the wide-angle camera. On the other hand, sound quality is much better with the V20. That's because the V20 packs advanced microphones with higher dynamics range. So if you often record audio with your smartphone, the V20 is definitely the better option. Both phones have this advanced sound recording application that lets you fine-tune the quality of the audio being recorded. But the results are dramatically better with the V20. Speaking of sound, only the LG V20 has the fancier quad DAC, while the US version of the G6 skips this component. A DAC is basically a chip that converts digital signals into analog audio. Its effect on sound quality is noticeable, but you'll be only able to hear the difference with a pair of high-quality earphones. And if you have good hearing, of course. As for the built-in loudspeakers, they're both okay. Perhaps the one on the G6 has slightly better vocals. With its 3300 mAh battery, the LG G6 lasts about a day to a day and a half on a single charge, depending on how it's being used. That's good enough, though nothing spectacular. The V20 does not shine in terms of battery life either, though its performance is still acceptable. One notable difference is that the V20 has a removable battery, which you can replace at your convenience. Both phones support rapid charging, but the US model of the G6 also supports wireless charging, although you will also need a charging pad in order to use that feature. In conclusion, both the LG G6 and the LG V20 are premium high-end phones, and choosing a winner is not an easy task. But I find it easier to recommend the LG G6 to most people, not only because it is the newer model, but also because it is more refined, more stylish, and more user-friendly. Plus, choosing that over the V20 will get you an upgraded wide-angle camera and water resistance. On the other hand, the LG V20 could be more suitable for those who consider themselves smartphone enthusiasts. It has the larger screen area, a potentially useful secondary display, and also great sound recording capabilities. Plus, it is getting more and more likely to find it on sale, so it could end up costing you less than the G6. Thank you for watching our comparison between the LG G6 and the LG V20. Don't forget to check us out at PhoneArena.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel to never miss a video.